Hey ladies, let's talk about the buzzwords, talking points, and tactics that'll let you know you're dealing with a dusty. Number 1, use of the word female or queen in reference of women. The word female, in my opinion, strips women of their humanity. It dehumanizes women. Animals can be female. Hurricanes can be female. So when you say female, what are you referring to? A female human? Well, that is a woman. As far as queen, I think it started as a term of upliftment or praise of Black women within our community, but it seems to have been corrupted by the Hotep community. Like, for example, when a man calls you a Nubian queen, similar to how Diddy did when he was trying to shut down Lizzo twerking on his IG Live. He was like, queen this, queen that. It just felt like it came from an empty place, a very insincere place. And again, just a more polite way of calling you out of your name or just not giving respect to your name. Now, I understand that these terms have been adopted in the Black lexicon or the African American vernacular English, and we say it unconsciously, but it's a mark of self-awareness. It's a mark of a self-aware person to be in control of what they say, how they say it, and understanding the connotations, implications, and context of it all. Number 2, gold digger. I was dealing with a man who called me a gold digger because I proposed the idea of wanting to be a stay-at-home mother and also said I wouldn't mind being a kept woman in the way that Cassie was before she left Diddy. He saw it as me just wanting to not work and use his money to survive, when in fact I was just seeking a man who could provide and was comfortable in his masculine responsibility and could also give his family options. In most cases, the men complaining about gold diggers aren't even in the tax bracket to solicit the attention of a gold digger. Hence the key term gold. These women are trying to strike it rich, not after your weekly $800 checks. And also, a portion of these men don't have ownership of anything. Do you have standing capital, portfolios, a patented proprietary idea, or intergenerational wealth? If not, then you should have no fear of gold diggers. And lastly, in my experience and those of close friends, men are usually the takers of time, energy, your body, your mental and emotional space, and even your money in some cases. It seems their dependent behavior has gone uncalled out for a while because we didn't have a term for it, but now we do. Dusties. And a subsection under gold digger is when a man says, what about love? Like you're talking about all this money. What about love? This usually comes after some discussion about finances, and he may be trying to minimize the points that you were making or the standards you're trying to set. My response is simple. When the bill collectors call asking for payment, do we ask them if they accept love? When you go to the grocery store to get your groceries, does the teller accept love in lieu of cash or credit? When it's time to purchase a home or pay rent, do you write out a check in the amount of love? Don't get me wrong, love is beautiful, but love itself is not going to pay the bills. So both parties should be gainfully employed. Number 3, your standards are too high. Now, let's be realistic about these standards, ladies. We should strive for things like financial security, good hygiene, generosity, respect, responsibility, care and understanding, patience, and even spirituality if that's part of your lifestyle. Not so much being 6'5" with brown eyes. Yes, physical appearance matters to some, but that does fade over time. Also, ask yourself if you're the type of woman the man you're seeking would want. Would you meet his set of standards? But when a man starts complaining about your hopefully reasonable standards, that's an immediate red flag, letting you know that he can't keep up with you. Simply recognize that and move on, especially if he's unwilling to see where you're coming from, i.e. understanding, or unwilling to compromise. Number 4, I'm different, or my thinking is different. Do you notice that men all spit the same game? So by the very nature of them claiming that they're so different from each other, makes them all the same. They say the same thing, do the same thing, take you to the same place. It's rare that you do find a man that does stand apart from the crowd, like a man who doesn't prioritize sex, or a man who speaks knowledgeably and passionately about his legacy and its impact on his community, or even a man that is willing to spend on you and spend time with you. That is truly different. Number 5, the I'm a good guy. In the same vein, this is the guy that insists that he's a good guy, in my Stevie J voice, and regularly declares that he's a good dude. If you're such a good guy, it should go without saying. Ladies, this is where you analyze what you see and not what you hear. What do his behavioral patterns reveal to you? In some cases, the good guys have the issue of seeing themselves as infallible and incapable of being the bad guy. As a result, they immediately absolve themselves of any accountability when they actually do something that hurts someone else. They refuse to be held responsible for their actions and insist they've done nothing wrong. You want someone who is solution-oriented and not always looking for someone or something else to blame. Potential. This one is a classic. We don't invest in potential. Do not waste your time and energy on a man who isn't ambitious enough or serious enough to manifest his potential into something actual and tangible. Now, I understand we are all in a period of potential at some point or another in life, but take that time to self-develop rather than pull someone else into uncertainty, unless they want to be there, I guess. Potential usually indicates some fixing or building that has to happen. Ladies, it's not necessarily your job to fix a man. He should have that self-awareness to get to that place to be whole, so both can complement each other. I had to break it down like this for one guy I was dating. He said he was not attracted to heavyset women and therefore wouldn't date one. I said, well, what if she demonstrated the potential to lose the weight? Let's say she was 250 and is now 200. She's shown that she can lose the weight and can lose more. You just have to invest in her potential to be the size you're attracted to. He said he just prefer a woman who was already his desired weight or body type. Well, okay then. It's the same idea vice versa for women. I can appreciate a man demonstrating his ability to actualize his potential, but I shouldn't be shamed for not wanting to stick around for that process. It's just a preference, right? I'm whole and expect you to be whole as well. Now, moving on to more so the tactics. We're mostly familiar with gaslighting, but there are other slick forms of manipulation Dusties use. Some Dusties use, I guess. I had a guy try to guilt me into cooking for him by saying, oh, okay, I know you can't cook, when I refused to oblige. Like, why would I do all that for someone who, at the time, wasn't taking any steps to define our situation? He made no mention of even buying the groceries he asked me to cook. Like, no, sir. You ain't getting no plate and leaving me with dishes to wash while you tootsie roll around town. Watch out for sly ways they try to con you into serving their interests. Now, this same guy also said to me that he was looking for a quote-unquote strong black woman to take care of him. Another red flag. Many black women are burning their capes and rejecting the trope and the stress of being strong. I asked the question, if black women are tasked with and busy being strong, what are the black men being and busy doing? Now, of course, I believe in a man being catered to and treated like a king if earned, but I will not accept the burden of taking care of a big grown man while he sits around with his hand out when he is biologically wired to be in the provider role. Men love to talk about how they are wired differently than women. Yes, you are. You are supposed to be a leader with a vision, with the masculine trait of being able to take care of yourself and those who matter most to you. Not to place any undue burden on men, but that is the mark of a valuable man. Another tactic is answering your question with another question, or responding with a yes and no answer, or just plain uncertainty. I talked about this more in my Ready to Love reunion review when London wasn't able to give a definitive answer when Divine's friend asked if he could see a future with Divine. That is a man who wants to be unclear about his intentions to keep you around longer without having to commit. It's disingenuous and promotes confusion, usually for the woman or women involved with him. My last two honorable mentions are phrases like, that's why a lot of women are single, or that's why a lot of black women are single. Another, I'm not going to stress out about you or worry about what you do. And lastly, I don't know what you're talking about. These phrases are simply dismissive and usually used when a woman is trying to express an idea that differs from what the man believes. He jumps to blaming women for their singleness instead of listening to understand. Note that a man that dismisses your feelings and doesn't try to understand where you're coming from is not someone interested in your emotional well-being. Healthy communication is key, and so are boundaries. As an adult, if he hasn't mastered effective communication skills, you'll go nowhere fast. So save yourself the hurt and heartache. So those are just a few of the talking points, buzzwords, and tactics that I've experienced in dating and getting to know some men. Have you heard these buzzwords? Did I leave anything out? Tell me in the comments. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk later.